Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Welcome to our daily Srimad Bhagavatam class, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So we are continuously reading Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth canto, chapter 8. Right, Dhruva Maharaja leaves home for the forest. So we will continue uh, where we will stop after that. So we are reading today. We will reading 4.8.35 Dhruva Vacha. So first we will recite Mangala Charan before we go to enter in Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtiki Mukam Karti Vachalang Pungum Langhayate Girim Yatkripatamahang Vande Shri Gurum Ninatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So, uh, Dhruva Vacha. Soyam Samo Bhagavata Sukha Dukha Hatatmanam Darshita Kripaya Pumsam Durdarshos Madhu Vidastuya. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj said, My dear Lord Naradji, for a person whose heart is disturbed by the material conditions of happiness and distress, whatever you have so kindly explained for attainment of peace of mind is certainly a very good instruction. But as far as I am concerned, I am covered by ignorance, and this kind of philosophy does not touch my heart. Purport. There are various classes of men. One class is called Akamis, referring to those who have no material desire. Desire means must exist, either material or spiritual. Material desire arises when one wants to satisfy one's personal senses. One who is ready to sacrifice anything to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be said to have spiritual desire. Dhruva did not accept the instruction given by the great Saint Narad because he thought himself unfit for such instruction which prohibited all material desires. It is not a fact, however, that those who have material desires are prohibited from worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the essential instruction for the life of Dhruva. He frankly admitted that his heart was full of material desires. He was very much affected by the cruel words of his stepmother, whereas those who are spiritually advanced do not care about anyone's condemnation of or adoration. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that persons who are actually advanced in spiritual life do not care for the dual behavior of this material world. But Dhruva Maharaj frankly admitted that he was not beyond the affliction of material distress and happiness. He was confident that the instruction given by Narada was valuable, yet he could not accept it. The question raised here is whether or not a person afflicted by material desires is fit to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The answer is that everyone is fit to worship Him. Even if one has many material desires to fulfill, we should take to Krishna consciousness and worship the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is so merciful that he fulfills everyone's desires. Through this narration, it will become very clear that no one is barred from worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if one has many material desires. Slok text 36. अथापि मे विनीतस्य क्षत्रं घोरम् उपे उषा सुरुच्या दुर्वचो वानैर्नाभिन्ने श्रयते हृदि. Translation: My dear Lord, I am very impudent for not accepting your instructions. But this is not my fault. It is due to my having been born in a Kshatriya family. My stepmother Suruchi has pierced my heart with her harsh words. Therefore, your valuable instruction does not stand in my heart. Purport: It is said that the heart or mind is just like an earthen pot. Once broken, it cannot be repaired by any means. Dhruva Maharaj gave this example to Narad Muni. He said that his heart, having been pierced by the arrows of his stepmother's harsh words, felt so broken that nothing seemed valuable but his desire to counteract her insult. His stepmother had said that because he was born from the womb of Suniti, a neglected queen of Maharaja Uttanpad, Dhruva Maharaj was not fit to sit either on the throne or on his father's lap. In other words, according to his stepmother, he could not be declared king. Dhruva Maharaj's determination, therefore, was to become king of a planet exalted even beyond that possessed by Lord Brahma, the greatest of all demigods. Dhruva Maharaj directly informed the great sage Narad that there are four kinds of human spirit: the Brahmanical spirit, the Kshatriya spirit, the Vaishya spirit, and the Shudra spirit. The spirit of one caste is not applicable to the members or of another. The philosophical spirit enunciated by Narad Muni might have been suitable for a Brahmana spirit, but it was not suitable for a Kshatriya. Dhruva frankly admitted that he was lacking in Brahminical humility and was therefore unable to accept the philosophy of Narad Muni. The statements of Dhruva Maharaj indicate that unless a child is trained according to his tendency, there is no possibility of his developing his particular spirit. It was the duty of the spiritual master or teacher to observe the psychological movement of a particular boy and thus train him in a particular occupational duty. Dhruva Maharaj, having already been trained in the Kshatriya spirit, could not accept the Brahmanical philosophy. In America, we have practical experience of this incompatibility of the Brahmanical and Kshatriya temperaments. The American boys who have simply been trained as Sudras are not at all fit to fight in battle. Therefore, when they are called to join the military, they refuse because they do not have the Kshatriya spirit. This is a cause of great dissatisfaction in society. That the boys do not have the Kshatriya spirit does not mean that they are trained in Brahminical qualities. They are trained as Sudras, and thus in frustration they are becoming hippies. However, as soon as they enter the Krishna consciousness movement being started in America, they are trained to meet the Brahminical qualifications, even though they have fallen to the lowest conditions as Sudras. In other words, since the Krishna consciousness movement is open for all, for everyone, people in general can attain the Brahminical qualifications. This is the greatest need at the present moment. For now, there are actually no Brahmanas or Kshatriyas, but only some Vaishyas and, for the most part, Sudras. The classification of society into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras is very scientific. In the human social body, the Brahmanas are considered the head, The Kshatriyas are the arms, the Vaishyas are the belly, and the Sudras are the legs. At the present moment, the body has legs and a belly, but there are no arms or head, and therefore society is topsy-turvy. It is necessary to re-establish the Brahminical qualifications in order to raise the fallen human society to the highest standard of spiritual consciousness. Text 37. Padam tribhuvano krishtam jigisosad vartma Guruhi asmat prithvir brahman anayar api anadisthitam. Translation: O learned Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the three worlds by anyone, even by my father and grandfather. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of an honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life. Purport. When Dhruva Maharaj refused to accept the Brahminical instruction of Narad Muni, naturally the next qualification would be what sort of instruction he wanted. So even before Narad Muni asked, Dhruva Maharaj expressed his heartfelt desire. His father, of course, was the emperor of the entire world, and this, his grandfather, Lord Brahma, was the creator of the universe. Dhruva Maharaj expressed his desire to possess a kingdom better than those of his father and grandfather. He frankly stated that he wanted a kingdom which had no competitor within the three worlds, namely the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The greatest personality within this universe is Lord Brahma, and Dhruva Maharaj wanted a position even greater than his. He wanted to take advantage of Narada Muni's presence because he knew very well that if Narada Muni, the greatest devotee of the Lord Krishna, could bless him or show him the path, then certainly he would be able to occupy a more exalted position than any person within the three worlds. Thus, he wanted help from Naradji to achieve that position. Dhruva Maharaj wanted a position greater than that of Brahma. This was practically an impossible proposition, but by pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a devotee can achieve even the impossible. One particular point mentioned here is that Dhruva Maharaj wanted to occupy an exalted position not by hook or by cook, but by honest means. This indicates that if Krishna offered him such a position, then he would accept it. That is the nature of a devotee. He may desire material gain, but he accepts it only if Krishna offers it. Dhruva Maharaj was sorry to refuse the instruction of Narad Muni. Therefore, he requested him to be merciful to him by showing a path by which he could fulfill his mind's desires. Look 8:38. नूनं भावन् भागवतो यो योगज्जा परमेष्ठिना विदुदन् अतते वीणां हितया जगतो रिकावात् अर्कवात्. Translation: My dear Lord, you are a worthy son of Lord Brahma, and you travel playing on your musical instrument, the Veena, for the welfare of the entire universe. You are like the sun which rotates in the universe for the benefit of all living beings. Purport: Dhruva Maharaj, although a young child, expressed his hope that he might be offered the benediction of a kingdom which would exist in opulence those of his father and grandfather. He also expressed his gladness that he had met such an exalted person as Narada, whose only concern was to illuminate the world like the sun, which rotates all over the universe only for the purpose of benefiting the inhabitants of all planets. Narada Muni travels all over the universe for the sole purpose of performing the best welfare activity for the entire universe, by teaching everyone how to become a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, Dhruva Maharaj felt fully assured that Narad Muni could fulfill his desire, even though the desire was very extraordinary. The example of the sun is very significant. The sun is so kind that he distributes his sunshine everywhere without consideration. Dhruva Maharaj requested Narada Muni to be merciful to him. He pointed out that Narada travels all over the universe just for the purpose of doing good to all conditioned souls. He requested that Narada Muni show his mercy by awarding him the benefit of his particular desire. Dhruva Maharaj was strongly determined to fulfill his desire, and it was for that purpose that he had left his home and palace. Slok 39 Maitra Uvacha Iti udaritam akarnya Bhagavan Naradastada Prita Pratyatam Balam Sadvakyam Anukampaya. Translation: The sage Maitreya continued. The great personality Narada Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate toward him, and in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice. Purport: Since the great sage Narada is the foremost spiritual master, naturally his only activity is to bestow the greatest benefit upon whomever he meets. Dhruva Maharaj, however, was a child, and so his demand was also that of a playful child. Still, the great sage became compassionate toward him, and for his welfare, he spoke the following verses. Text 40. Nard Ubacha Jananay Abhihita Pantha Savai Nisreyasasyate Bhagavan Vasudevastam Bhajatam Pravanatmana. Translation: The great sage Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instruction given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional services to that Supreme Personality of God is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in the devotional service of the Lord. Purport: Dhruva Maharaj's demand was to achieve an abode even greater than Lord Brahma's. Within this universe, Lord Brahma is supposed to be in the most exalted position, for he is the chief of all demigods. But Dhruva Maharaj wanted a realm beyond his. Therefore, his desire was not to be fulfilled by worshipping any demigod. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the benedictions offered by the demigods are all temporary. Therefore, Narad Muni asks Dhruva Maharaj to follow the path recommended by his mother to worship Krishna, Vasudeva. When Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of the devotee. Both Suniti and Narada Muni knew that the demand of Dhruva Maharaj was impossible for any demigod to fulfill, and therefore both of them recommended following the process of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Narada Muni is referred to here as Bhagavan because he can bless any person just as the Supreme Personality of Godhead can. He was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj, and he could have at once personally given whatever he wanted. But that is not the duty of the spiritual master. His duty is to engage the disciples. His duty is to engage the disciple in proper devotional service as prescribed in the Shastras. Krishna was similarly present before Arjuna, and even though he could have given him all facilities for victory over the opposing party without a fight, he did not do so. Instead, he asked Arjuna to fight. In the same way, Narad Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to undergo devotional discipline in order to achieve the desired result. Slok 41. धर्मर्थ काम मोक्षायम मोक्षाख्यम ज इच्छे श्रेय आत्मना एकम ही एव हरिस्तत्र कारणम पाद सेवनम. Translation: any person who desires the fruits of the four principles religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end liberation should engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For worship of his lotus feet yields the fulfillment of all of these. Purport: in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that only with the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can the demigods offer benedictions. Therefore, whenever any sacrifice is offered to a demigod, the Supreme Lord in the form of Narayana Sila or Salagram Sila is put forward to observe the sacrifice. Actually, the demigods cannot give any benediction without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. Narad Muni therefore advised that even for religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation, one should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, offer prayers, and ask for the fulfillment of one's desire at the lotus feet of the Lord. That is real intelligence. An intelligent person never goes to demigods to pray for anything. He goes directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the cause of all benediction. As Lord Sri Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, performance of ritualistic ceremonies is not actually religion. The real path of religion is to surrender at the lotus feet of the Lord. For one who is actually surrendered to the Lord, lotus feet of the Lord, there is no question of any separate endeavor for economic development. A devotee engaged in service to the Lord is not disappointed in the satisfaction of his senses. If he wants to satisfy his senses, Krishna fulfills that desire. As far as liberation is concerned, any devotee fully engaged in the service of the Lord is already liberated. Therefore, there is no separate necessity for his liberation. Narada Muni therefore advised Dhruva Maharaj to take shelter of Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, and engage himself in the way that his mother had advised, for that would help him fulfill his desire. In this verse, Narad Muni has especially stressed the devotional service of the Lord as the only way. In other words, even if one is full of material desires, he can continue his devotional service to the Lord, and all his desires will be fulfilled. Text 42. Tat tata gaccha bhadram te yamunayastatatam suchi पुण्यम मधुवनम यात्रा Shunnidhyam Nityada Hare. Translation: my dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. You should go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvana, and they are being fulfilled. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who always lives there. Purport: both Narad Muni and Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, advised Dhruva Maharaj to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Narad Muni is especially giving him directions how this worship of the Supreme Person can very quickly fructify. He recommends that Dhruva Maharaj go to the bank of the Yamuna, where there is a forest of the name Madhubana, and begin his meditation and worship there. Places of pilgrimage yield a special advantage for a devotee in quickly advancing his spiritual life. Lord Krishna lives everywhere, but still it is very easy to approach him in holy places of pilgrimage because these places are inhabited by great sages. Lord Sri Krishna says that he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the glories of his transcendental activities. There are many places of pilgrimage in India, and especially prominent are Badrinarayan, Dwarka, Rameswara, and Jagannath Puri. These sacred places are called the four Dhamas. Dhama refers to a place where one can immediately contact the Supreme Lord. To go to to go to the path to Supreme Person of God, and similarly there are other holy places of pilgrimage such as Prayaga, Allahabad, and Mathura, and the topmost of them all is Vrindavan. Unless one is very advanced in spiritual life, it is recommended that he live in such a holy place and execute devotional service there. But an advanced devotee like Narada Muni, who is engaged in preaching work, can serve the Supreme Lord anywhere. Sometimes he even goes to the hellish planets. Hellish conditions do not affect Narada Muni because he is engaged in greatly responsible activities in devotional service. According to the statement of Narad Muni, Madhuvan, which is still existing in the Vrindavan area in the district of Mathura, is a most sacred place. Many saintly persons still live there and engage in the devotional service of the Lord. There are 12 forests in the area of Vrindavan, and Madhuvan is one of them. Pilgrims from all parts of India assemble together and visit all 12 of these forests. There are five forests on the eastern bank of the Yamuna: Vrindavan, Bilavan, Bilvavana, Lauhavana, Bhandirvana, and Mahavana. On the western side of the bank, there are seven: Madhuvana, Talvana, Kudumbavana, Bahulavana, Kamyavana, Khadiravana, and Vrindavana. In those 12 forests there are different ghatas or bathing places. They are listed as follows: Abhimukta, Adiruda, Guhya Tirtha, Prayag Tirtha, Kanakhala, Tinduka Tirtha, Surya Tirtha, Bataswami, Dhruva Ghata. Dhruva Ghata, where there are many nice trees of fruits and flowers, is famous because Dhruva Maharaj meditated and underwent severe penances and austerities there in an elevated spot. Rishi Tirtha, Moksha Tirtha, Buddha Tirtha, Gokarna, Krishna Ganga, Vaikuntha, Asikunda, Chatu Samudrika Kupa, Akrura Tirtha, where Krishna and Balram were going to Mathura in the chariot driven by Akrura. All of them took bath in his ghata. Yajnika, Viprasthana, Kubja Kupa, Rangasthala, Manchasthala, Mallayuddha Sthana, and Dasasramedha. So today we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll continue from 40 slok 643. So if anyone have any question, then you can ask. Okay, there is one member. Okay. So you have any question, Pratas Mataji?
No, no, it's totally clear. The way you have read the Srimad Bhagavatam sloka is totally clear. Very good.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll stop here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय, पद पावन शिल गुरु महाराज की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की जय, जय निताई गौर